Hello and welcome. This is Noah with Nomad Gaming, and thank you for joining us for another video about the Marvel Champions LCG. Marvel Champions is, of course, a living card game produced and distributed by Fantasy Flight Games, and if you are looking for a place to stay up to date on strategy, news, and, of course, gameplay, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more future videos. Today we're going to jump into an aspect card ranking, and we are going to cover the leadership aspect. The Marvel Champions LCG comes with 4 aspects that you can use to customize your player decks. The first being aggression, then we have justice, protection, and today's focus, leadership. We're going to go ahead and run through each of the different types of cards in the aspect. We're going to pick out a couple of all-stars from each type of card, and then we're going to distill those all-stars down at the end into a top 3 cards list. Now, of course, disclaimer, which should be made, this is my opinion, and it is not scenario specific. This is a generic overview of the cards as a whole with their power and utility and play. Some scenarios make certain cards much more useful and powerful than in other scenarios, and I will of course leave it to you at this time, but maybe include it in a future video, what some of the deck building tweaks and strategies that we do to an aspect like leadership to make it more scenario specific and effective. But without any more delay, let's jump into it and let's talk allies. In the in the leadership aspect, there are a ton of allies, and there's a lot of ally synergy. This is a key component of the aspect, is the way that allies play, the utility that they give us to thwart, attack, and then to defend. There are scenarios and strategies where you try to just flood the field with allies and use them as a shield. There are scenarios and strategies where you try to build up an army of allies that are strong and keep them in play and use them for benefit with some of the other cards in the aspect that give boosts and perks, maybe from allies to heroes or from heroes to allies and other things like that. With that said, I've picked out a couple here that really stand out, and I can't really talk leadership allies without talking about Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a 3-cost ally. Yes, he has 1 thwart and 1 attack. He's an Avenger, but his best line of text is Hawkeye enters play with 4 arrow counters on him, and that is because he has the responsibility, after a minion enters play, remove 1 arrow counter to deal 2 damage to that minion. Now, we have been getting harder and harder minions that have more and more health, but a lot of minions in this game only have 2 health. And there are a lot of ways to deal damage other than just attacking them. So if you throw 2 damage onto a minion, you may be able to drop something later in the game that spreads damage across several minions and cleans everybody up in 1 turn, just because as they came out onto the table, Hawkeye got to dump arrow counters on them. In a scenario like Ultron, where all of the Ultron bots start off with basically 1 health, that could go up to 2, it could go up to 3, but usually it stops at 2. You can just clear them. Just buy, next. This guy's good. He's great. He's got 3 health. You want to keep him on the board, but then you want him to die so you can play him again and get 4 more uses out of him. Really exciting. One of the things that's going to be really tough is that his hero card is coming out, and I think that is going to mean a lot of people won't play his ally as much because they're going to be pairing cards or playing the Hawkeye hero, and we're going to miss out on this ability. But this is a really strong card, and yeah, definitely, I like it a lot. Our other ally that we're going to focus on today is Maria Hill. Maria has 2 costs. She has 2 thwart, 1 attack, 1 consequential damage for each. She only has 2 health, but she draws a card for every player when she comes into play. This is a lot of fun. In a 4-player game, the table gets 4 cards. In a 1-player game, you get 1 card. But, I mean, it's like she replaces herself. With 2 thwart, I mean, I would play her as a 2-cost ally with 2 thwart, but then she has this bonus that just puts her over the top and makes her useful. Now, other cards I love from this aspect, Falcon, fantastic threat management, great stats. Vision, early videos, I say I hate him and he's terrible, but it turns out he's really good. And I like him. I play him in a lot of decks. There's a couple strategies that you can do with him that are great combos, and he's really useful in those. There are other allies in the aspect that are good and should see play. Don't think that I'm saying just to play these 2, but these are the top 2 in my mind, and they really do stand a little bit of a cut above the rest. The reason that Falcon and Vision don't even get on this list, it's because they cost 4. 4-cost allies are just expensive. It's a whole turn for most heroes, and it's just hard to make that work without a very niche build. All right, let's look at events. In the events in the event slot here, we've got a couple that we want to look at. The first one is Avengers Assemble. Avengers Assemble is a 4-cost event. Yes, I just said 4-cost is bad because it takes up your whole turn, but this one's got some real power. For 4 costs, you can, once per round, you could ready each Avenger character you control, and then until the end of the phase, each Avenger character gets +1 thwart and +1 attack. So on our turn, we could play this, ready up everybody, and then we've got an extra thwart and an extra attack out of all of our Avengers characters. There are Avengers characters in abundance in this aspects. You can get 3 or 4 allies on the table with the right support cards. Plus, you could have an Avengers hero. You could be readying 5 characters at a time, depending on what your signature pool is. A couple of heroes have signature allies that are Avengers as well. Really exciting. That plus a thwart or plus attack really adds up when you spread it across 6 bodies. So this card's awesome. It's not a 3-of in most decks. Let's just be honest. It's cool. It gets played once a game, maybe if you're lucky. But when it happens, you can't deny the power. So it gets on the list here. Strength in Numbers is a little bit of a controversial card for folks, but it's a 0-cost cantrip. If you exhaust allies, you get to draw a card for each ally you exhaust. A lot of times you've got allies that you want to have stay and play with leadership, like Hawkeye, sometimes like Vision. But if you want Hawkeye to stay and play and you want to get utility out of him, it doesn't hurt to throw this in, drop this, exhaust Hawkeye, draw your card. Very helpful, very useful. I like it. It's cool, but a lot of fun. One of the things I want to try with this, and I've been kind of keeping in my back pocket, is that Spider-Woman is going to allow us to play 2 aspects, and I would like to have Strength in Numbers and Quake, because I want Quake to stay on the table so that she can activate when minions scheme, but I want to get some utility out of her by drawing a card, and I want to see if I can figure out some synergy to make that work, maybe with Quake and Hawkeye and some others that we want to have stay on the table. And then we have, this is just a standout all-star of the entire card pool, every aspect. Make the Call is a 0-cost event, and it says pay the printed cost of an ally in any player's discard pile and put that ally into play under your control. So this just gets better with the more players that are in the game, and when you've got 4 players and you can pull their signature allies or their aspect specific allies or their copy of Nick Fury out of the discard pile and get the utility out of it, yeah, this is awesome. It's a free card. You just have to have the ability to pay for whatever you've got, and you have to pay the printed cost. So there's no cost reduction on what's in the discard pile, but it's good. And your double resources count as double resources. Your aspect-specific matching double resources do as well. A lot of fun. Really good card. Lots of utility. Just digging into the discard pile, finding something to come back out and get it back on the table. I mean, this is Reset Hawkeye for free. This is fun. I mean, this is a good card. All right, let's talk about support cards, though. We've got a couple of support cards that I think really fit a cut above the rest. Well, let's be honest. There's only 2 support cards in the aspect, So picking one over the other. The Triskelion is just, it's generic. It's useful. It gives you an extra ally. You're playing an aspect that wants allies, so being able to go up to 4 for just putting this on the table is huge value. I find it slipping in to a lot of my decks. I don't find it finding its way to the table a lot of the time because it does get spent as a resource many times before it gets played. But when it does make it onto the table and you've got the extra allies out there, things just go well. Let's look at the upgrade slot. Again, there's not a lot of upgrades here, but if you've listened to us talk about Black Widow, you know that she brought to the game a huge pool of value. Just overwhelming value. Whoops, that's the wrong direction. There we go. In the upgrade slot, we're going with Rapid Response. This is like Make the Call, but it sits on the table until you're ready to use it. So for 2 costs, you get to put this onto the table, and then when an ally is defeated, you get your ally. This can't be anybody's, but this is your ally. Discard Rapid Response and put that ally back into play from the discard pile with an extra damage on it. I mean, just being able to reset some of your allies is cool. This on the table while you've got a Hawkeye out is fantastic. Maria Hill dies, comes back, gets you an extra card. You can. One of the things that's interesting is this doesn't say that it has to be like goes down to an attack. Your character is defeated when it gets damage equal to its health and it goes to the discard pile. So I can thwart for 2 with Maria Hill on her second turn, which would theoretically put her second damage on her. When she goes off the table, she's defeated, so we trigger Rapid Response. We bring her back, we draw a card, we thwart again. So Maria thwarts for 4 on a turn, draws a card with this, and then is there for a defense or to be used again on the next turn. This guy is just pure power and a lot of fun. All right, so let's take a look. Top 3. I might have said it too many times. I don't know. I'm a little bit biased. But Hawkeye's in the 3rd spot right now. This could change after the release of Rise of Red Skull if a lot of people are playing Hawkeye and it's just not feasible to get him out onto the table. But he is the best ally in this aspect. And his ability to control the table is just overwhelming and puts him into the 3rd spot. Rapid Response is definitely number 2 here. It's a great card. You can only have 1 per player, but you're going to use it so much as a leadership player with a lot of allies. You can also toss it onto somebody else's table just to get it out of your hand or out of your deck, and then let them use it. Yeah, it's good. I think it's great. And then finally, in number 1, of course, if you didn't guess it, make the call. It's the best card in the game. Well, Energy Barriers might be the best card in the game, but it's really good, and it is going to allow you the Swiss Army utility of being able to get anything from anybody's discard pile and put it onto the table and take advantage of it at full value. So there you have it, folks. That's a top 3 for leadership. We are excited, and that is going to close us out for today. Thank you for joining us here at Nomad Gaming for this video. Give us a like, share, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications to stay up to date. But most importantly, until next time, let's go game.